That night, I heard my daughters crying outside the house. When I looked out, I saw 3 shadowy figures standing in the dark. They looked like my triplet daughters, but something was wrong. Their eyes glowed red, and they weren't moving like normal children. I knew then that something terrible had happened. My name is Samuel. I am an old man now, but I remember that night like it was yesterday. It was over 20 years ago, but the memory still haunts me. I never told anyone what I saw that night, but I know what I saw. And I know what it meant. It all started many years before, when I was a young man. I was married to a beautiful woman named Oma. We had triplet daughters, Akua, Oma, and Abina. They were born healthy, lively, and full of life. We loved them very much. But in our village, there was a story, an old folktale that everyone knew but no one liked to talk about openly. It was about a spirit called he who rejected his wife and children. According to the story, a long time ago, there was a man who believed that his wife and children brought him bad luck. Some say he was greedy or afraid of losing his wealth, but whatever the reason, he turned away from his family. He left them alone in the village, and he refused to see them. The folktale says that he thought their presence was cursed, that their very existence was a bad omen. People warned him, but he didn't listen. He sent his wife and daughters away into the forest, saying they were cursed and that they should never come back. After that, he built a new house far away and tried to forget about them. But the story says that the spirit of the man's family never truly left. Sometimes, people say you can see them in the dark, or hear their cries on quiet nights. That's why no one in the village dared to speak openly about those triplets after they were sent away. Everyone knew the story, but no one wanted to admit it was real. My wife Oma and I, we were poor but happy. Our daughters grew up strong and beautiful, with bright eyes and quick smiles. But as they grew older, strange things started to happen. It started small. Sometimes, I would wake up and find their clothes moved or misplaced, even though no one else had been in the house. We'd hear noises at night, soft whispers, footsteps that didn't belong to anyone. One day, Oma got sick. Not just a cold or a fever, her illness was strange. She would wake up with scratches on her arms, even though she said she had no idea how they got there. I thought maybe it was some kind of illness, but the healer we called said it was something else. He looked worried and told me to watch the children carefully. That night, I had a bad feeling. I stayed awake, listening. I heard muffled voices outside the house, children's voices, but they sounded far away and distorted. Suddenly, I saw their figures, 3 children, standing in the shadows outside. I thought I was dreaming, but I knew I wasn't. When I stepped outside, they vanished into the darkness. I looked around, but I saw nothing. My heart was pounding. I told Oma about what I saw, but she just shook her head and said I was imagining things. Then came that night, the night I started this story with. It was late, around midnight. I was sleeping when I heard the faintest sounds outside. I got up, my heart pounding, and looked out the window. That's when I saw them. 3 figures, standing in the yard, my daughters, but different. They looked like children, but their eyes glowed red, and their faces were blank. They didn't move like normal kids. They just stood there, staring at the house. I tried to call out to them, but my voice caught in my throat. I felt frozen, scared to even breathe. Then, one of the figures stepped forward slowly, like it was walking through water. It reached out a hand, and I swear, I saw its fingers turn into claws. I slammed the window shut and ran to wake Oma. When I looked back outside, the figures were gone. But I knew then that something was very wrong. The next day, I went to the elders in the village. I told them what I saw. Some looked worried, others dismissed my story as a bad dream or imagination. But I knew better. I could feel it in my bones, the spirit of that old folktale was real. I feared that my daughters had been cursed, or worse, taken by that spirit. Gradually, the strange things got worse. My daughters became sick more often, their eyes sometimes looked like they had been crying blood. They started talking about voices in the night, voices only they could hear. I begged them to stay inside, but they were restless. They would sleep out at night, despite my warnings. One night, I decided to follow them. I hid behind a tree near the house and watched. To my horror, I saw the girls sneaking into the forest, walking toward the old, abandoned shrine that no one dared go near. I wanted to run after them, but I was too afraid. I stayed hidden as I saw them disappear into the shadows. The next morning, I found them near the shrine, trembling and crying. They told me they saw a woman there, tall, dressed in white, with eyes like fire. She whispered to them that she was their mother, and she wanted to take them away. That was when I knew I had to do something. I went to the village priest and told him everything. He listened carefully and then told me about the old story, about the man who rejected his family and how his spirit still haunted the land, seeking to claim others like my daughters. He performed the ritual to try to protect my family, but I could see the fear in his eyes. He told me that the spirit was powerful and that it was feeding on our fear and suffering. Things got worse. My daughters started to become very ill. Their bodies grew weak, and they would cry out in their sleep about being taken away by the spirit. One night, I heard screams coming from the house. I ran inside and found them all on the floor, trembling, with tears streaming down their faces. They said they saw the spirit's face in their dreams, long, with hollow eyes and a terrible smile. I felt helpless. I didn't know how to stop it. I could only pray and hope that somehow, the spirit would leave us alone. Then came the worst night of all. I woke up to find my daughters missing from their beds. The house was silent, except for the faint whispers outside. I grabbed a torch and went outside, calling their names. The yard was empty, but then I saw their footprints, leading away from the house, into the forest. I followed them, my heart pounding. As I entered the woods, I saw them, 3 figures standing in a clearing. They looked like my daughters, but they weren't. Their eyes glowed red, and they stared at me with cold, empty expressions. Suddenly, I felt a cold wind blow past me. The figures started to fade, like smoke in the wind. I ran back home, terrified, knowing that whatever had taken my daughters was real, and it was not finished. I can't forget that night. I still see those glowing eyes when I close my eyes. I still hear the whispers. My daughters never came back, and I don't know what happened to them. Some say they were taken by the spirit, others say they were cursed forever. All I know is that I believe the old folktale is true. That man who turned away his family, the spirit of his rejection still haunts those who cast out loved ones. I think it's why I saw what I saw. I think it's why my daughters are gone. Now, I live alone, haunted by memories and the fear that one day, the spirit might come for me too. That's my story. I hope no one ever has to see what I saw. Because some things are better left in the dark.